The young and the restless spoilers. Ian Ward's obsession with Arya. Ian Ward's fascination with Arya was as calculated as it was chilling. To him, Arya represented a blank slate, an innocent soul untainted by the complexities of the world. But more than that, she was a means to an end. In Ian's warped mind, she was the key to exerting control over those who had opposed him, Mariah, Tessa, and even Sharon. If he could take Arya, he could break them. For weeks, Ian had worked his way into Tessa Porter's mind. His charm was subtle but relentless, his words laced with just enough truth to make her doubt herself and the people she loved. He'd painted himself as a reformed man, someone who understood the struggles of redemption and who simply wanted a chance to prove he could change. Tessa's trust and betrayal. I just want to help, Ian had said during one of their conversations. His voice was calm, soothing, almost fatherly. You've been through so much, Tessa. You deserve someone who truly sees you, who believes in your potential. Tessa had been skeptical at first, but Ian's persistence chipped away at her defenses. He played on her insecurities, her doubts about her relationship with Mariah, and her struggles with her music career. He painted Mariah as someone who didn't fully support her dreams, someone who held her back out of fear and jealousy. She doesn't trust you, does she? Ian had said one day, his tone full of quiet understanding. I can see it in the way she looks at you. That kind of doubt, it's toxic, Tessa. You deserve better. It was those words that led Tessa to let her guard down. She began to see Ian not as a manipulator but as a mentor, someone who genuinely cared. And when he asked to meet Arya, she hesitated but ultimately agreed. After all, Ian had been nothing but kind to her. What harm could it do? The kidnapping. The moment Ian held Arya in his arms, Tessa felt a flicker of unease. But before she could act, Ian's demeanor shifted. He handed Arya to Jordan, who was waiting nearby, and his smile turned cold. Thank you, Tessa, Ian said, his voice devoid of the warmth it once held. You've made this so much easier. What are you doing? Tessa asked, panic rising in her chest. Give her back. But Ian and Jordan were already moving, slipping away with Arya before Tessa could stop them. By the time Mariah returned home, Tessa was inconsolable, guilt and regret consuming her. I trusted him, Tessa sobbed. I let him near her. This is my fault. Mariah's anger was palpable, but it was tempered by her own heartbreak. We'll get her back, Tessa. We have to. Genoa City in chaos. News of Arya's kidnapping spread quickly through Genoa City, sending shockwaves through the community. Victor Newman mobilized his resources, hiring private investigators to track Ian's movements. Nick and Adam joined forces, setting aside their differences to find the child. Even the Genoa City Police Department, often slow to act, launched a full-scale search operation. But Ian Ward was always one step ahead. He and Jordan had fled the city, taking Arya with them to an unknown location. Every lead turned up cold, every effort to track them down ended in frustration. Sharon's shock. Unbeknownst to the others, Ian and Jordan had taken Arya to Sharon. They appeared at her doorstep late one night, a disheveled mess but with a purpose in their eyes. Sharon's heart sank the moment she saw Ian, her instincts screaming that trouble had arrived. What do you want? Sharon demanded, her voice sharp. Ian stepped forward, cradling Arya in his arms. We need you to take her, Sharon. You're the only one who can. Sharon's eyes widened in disbelief. What are you talking about? Take her? Are you insane? Jordan, standing behind Ian, spoke up. We can't care for her. We don't have the means. But you're good with kids. You'll give her a better life. Sharon's hands trembled as Ian placed Arya in her arms. The child's innocent gaze cut through her, filling her with a mix of rage and sorrow. You want me to raise her in this madness? Sharon shouted, her voice breaking. You took her from the people who love her, and now you expect me to be your accomplice? This is sick. Ian's smile didn't falter. Think of it as a chance for redemption, Sharon. You've made mistakes, but this is your opportunity to do something good. Sharon's anger boiled over. No. This isn't redemption, it's cruelty. Arya deserves to be with her family, not trapped in this nightmare. Do you think I'll just go along with this? You're even more delusional than I thought. The dark basement. Sharon's protests echoed in the damp, shadowy basement where Ian and Jordan had brought her. The conditions were bleak, the air heavy with dampness and despair. It was no place for a child, and Sharon's heart broke at the thought of Arya growing up in such an environment. This isn't a life, Sharon said, her voice cracking as she held Arya close. She's just a baby. She needs love, safety, a home. Not this. Ian's expression hardened. Then make it work. Or are you going to abandon her, too? Sharon's eyes blazed with fury. I won't let you do this. I'll find a way to get her back to Mariah and Tessa. You can't stop me. Jordan stepped forward, her voice cold. You're not going anywhere, Sharon. Not until Ian says so. Hope amid despair. As Sharon wrestled with her predicament, the search for Arya continued above ground. Mariah and Tessa refused to give up, their determination fueled by love and guilt. Victor, Nick, and the rest of the Newman family worked tirelessly to uncover Ian's location. But time was running out. Arya's safety and Sharon's sanity hung in the balance. And in the shadows, Ian Ward reveled in the chaos he had created, his twisted mind finding satisfaction in the pain he had inflicted. Yet even Ian couldn't predict the resilience of those he sought to break. For in Genoa City, love had a way of conquering even the darkest of plans. A moment of regret and reconciliation in the dimly lit living room of their shared apartment, Mariah and Tessa clung to each other, their tears soaking into each other's shoulders. The tension and heartbreak of the past weeks had come crashing down, leaving them vulnerable but united. For the first time in what felt like forever, they were on the same page. The only thing that mattered now was Arya. I'm so sorry, Mariah whispered, her voice trembling. I should have trusted you more, supported you better. I was so caught up in my own fears that I didn't see what you were going through. Tessa pulled back slightly, her hands gripping Mariah's shoulders. Her tear-streaked face was fierce, her eyes burning with resolve. No, I'm the one who should be sorry. I let him in. I believed him. And now our daughter is gone because of me. No, Mariah said firmly, shaking her head. Ian Ward is the monster here, not you. He manipulated you, the same way he's manipulated so many others. But we'll get her back. I promise you, we'll get her back. Tessa's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. I've seen who Ian Ward really is now. He's not just a liar, he's a predator. And I swear, Mariah, I'll make him pay for what he's done. If it means protecting Arya, I'll do whatever it takes. Tessa's fierce determination. Mariah knew Tessa was serious. Her wife's gentle, artistic exterior often masked the fire that burned within her. Tessa was fiercely protective of those she loved, and her love for Arya was boundless. Tessa, Mariah said cautiously, I know you're angry. I'm angry too. But we have to be smart about this. We can't let our emotions cloud our judgment. Tessa's jaw clenched, her hands balling into fists. I'm done being smart, Mariah. Ian Ward took our baby. He preyed on my insecurities, my weaknesses, and used them against me. He's evil, and he doesn't deserve to breathe the same air as the rest of us. But if you do something reckless, Mariah started. I don't care. Tessa snapped, her voice echoing through the room. I don't care what happens to me. If it means getting Arya back, I'll give up everything, my career, my freedom, my future. Nothing else matters. Mariah pulled Tessa into another tight hug, her own tears flowing again. We'll do this together, she said softly. But we'll do it the right way. Please, Tessa. Don't let him win by making you lose yourself. Nick and Victor step in later that evening. Nick and Victor Newman arrived at the apartment, their presence bringing a mixture of relief and tension. Both men were determined to help, but their approaches couldn't have been more different. Victor's commanding voice filled the room as he addressed the couple. Mariah, Tessa, you need to leave this to us. Ian Ward is dangerous, far more dangerous than you realize. If you go after him on your own, you'll only make things worse. Nick added in a gentler tone, we get it. You're scared, and you're angry. But rushing into this isn't going to bring Arya back. Let us handle it. We've got resources, connections, things you don't. Tessa's eyes flashed with defiance. You think I care about resources? About connections? He took my daughter. Do you know what that feels like? To have the person you love most in the world ripped away from you? Nick exchanged a glance with Victor, both men understanding her pain but firm in their stance. Victor stepped closer, his tone softening just slightly. Tessa, I understand your rage. I do. But rage won't get her back. Strategy will. Patience will. Trust me when I say, I'll find her. I've dealt with men like Ian Ward before, and they all make mistakes eventually. When he does, I'll be there to take him down. Mariah nodded, clutching Tessa's hand tightly. They're right, Tessa. As much as I want to storm out there and tear him apart, we have to trust them. For Arya's sake. Tessa hesitated, her body trembling with the effort to rein in her emotions. Finally, she nodded. Fine. But if you fail, if anything happens to her, I won't wait around. I'll handle it myself. The Newman plan in motion. Victor wasted no time, setting his team into motion. He coordinated with private investigators, security experts, and even Genoa City law enforcement, determined to track Ian Ward and Jordan down. Nick, on the other hand, focused on supporting Mariah and Tessa. He stayed close, ensuring they had updates and keeping them from spiraling into despair. You're not alone in this, Nick told them one evening. We're all fighting for Arya. And we won't stop until she's back where she belongs. Ian Ward's hidden location. Meanwhile, Ian and Jordan had settled into a remote hideout, far from Genoa City. The dilapidated cabin they occupied was isolated, surrounded by dense woods and far from prying eyes. Ian observed Arya as she slept in a makeshift crib, his expression unreadable. She's special, he murmured to Jordan. This child is more than just a bargaining chip. She's a symbol of power, of control. And as long as we have her, we're untouchable. Jordan frowned, unease flickering across her face. Ian, this is getting out of hand. Sharon's barely coping with what you're forcing on her, and Tessa will break, Ian interrupted, his voice cold. They all will. That's the beauty of this. I'm not just taking their child, I'm taking their hope. The fight for Arya. As the days passed, tensions reached a boiling point in Genoa City. Tessa and Mariah grew more determined with each passing moment, their love for Arya uniting them in a way nothing else could. Victor's team made progress, identifying potential hideouts and closing in on Ian's location. But the question remained, would they find Arya in time? And as Tessa's anger simmered beneath the surface, one thing became clear: if the system failed her, she was ready to take matters into her own hands. No cost was too great, no risk too high. For Arya, Tessa was prepared to walk through fire.